Nervous system regulation happens in relationship. When we sit together, we can find new ways that actually fit our system. In ways that don't feel supportive, we can leave those to rest. Because in this space, we take what makes sense, and the rest simply can stay. Hi, I'm Jana Shalom, and this is Nervous System Groundwork. Your nervous system is part of the body that helps you breathe, move, and respond to the world, especially when things feel overwhelming. In these videos, I share a few simple strategies that work with the body, not against it, with clear explanations of what's happening within the body at a physiological level. These tools are not here for stabilization, not for self-improvement. And if something doesn't work for you, that's not failure. It's information. Let's begin. On today's episode of Nervous System Groundwork, we will be discussing when everything feels like it needs a response. Before we begin, we can just notice where we are. Noticing can happen gently without needing anything to change. If things have been asking a lot from us lately, or even if small moments begin to feel like they're carrying more weight, that can be part of how the body is responding right now. This can be taken in at your own pace. Attention can come and go, and your listening can be partial. Presence can shift. This space holds where we are, exactly as we are. There's room to be exactly who we are without needing to adjust anything to participate. This is simply a space where we can sit together with what is already happening in our nervous systems. And we can offer a few ways that we can support ourselves and each other. Nervous system regulation happens in relationship. When we sit together, we can find new ways that actually fit our system. In ways that don't feel supportive, we can leave those to rest. Because in this space, we take what makes sense, and the rest simply can stay. Recently in the podcast, we explored a moment that can happen very quickly. Something comes into our view, and almost immediately it begins to feel like we need to do something about it. That shift where awareness turns into our responsibility is the pattern that we are focusing on and naming in and of itself. We're staying with what happens inside the body when pattern responses appear. And as everything begins to feel as though it needs a response, we can identify moments in our nervous system where that has happened, where we have organized a perceived demand around a perceived responsibility. Even if nothing is being asked out loud, internally it can feel as though something is. Our attention begins to narrow. Our connection begins to slim. And the body begins to orient toward what it's noticing. And there can be a sense of, I better lean in so I don't miss something that might be mine to hold. And if something has already started, within that noticing, we can begin to really name that internal pressure, the readiness in the body that tells us we must be prepared to handle something because something is here that we must handle. None of that has happened by mistake or is because of our mistake. This is how our nervous system's organized. It organized through what it learned. And what it learned is that when noticing happens, it often leads to somebody, something, somewhere, requiring something from us. So even in those small moments, we can begin to carry things that aren't actually ours to carry. The system has learned how to treat us in this way. It has learned that if we notice something and we don't do something, then something on our end has gone wrong. Now, the nervous system is no longer responding through reaction. It's learning to stay with what is here exactly as it is before organizing. It stays inside of a perceived demand. It stays there and it simply waits. There are a few ways we can support our nervous system inside that moment. This is nothing to master. It's nothing that we need to repeat. But sometimes attention becomes so very narrowed that in this place, the one thought, the one feeling feels so slim. But through learning to stay, we realize that moment actually begins to widen gently. We might let our eyes move slightly, not searching, not scanning, just allowing our vision to take in a little bit more space around us. Being in the present moment, not what's going on in our inner world solely. Something to the left of us that we notice. Something to the right of us that we notice. And even something we wouldn't normally notice. Maybe the sky looks a little bit more clear than we're used to seeing. Nothing changed. Nothing needed to change. The body just simply needed to remember that there is more here in this moment than just urgency. And at times, that's enough for the pressure to just release just slightly so a shift can occur. At times, it can feel like the moment is happening to us. We can bring in a small point of relationship. And when we do this, we can realize that situations happen for us, especially if we take the time to sit with it and to simply notice. And it can start by saying to our nervous system, Shalom, we see this. Not to change anything, but to learn how to name something that is happening. To learn how to name something before our system organizes around it. Sometimes the naming creates just enough space where that shift can happen. Not so that the pressure completely goes away, but because there is a sense that what is happening right now does not require my immediate resolution. We're not trying to stop things from happening. We are just allowing a moment to exist before anything happens. This isn't a forced pause. It's not something for us to hold perfectly. It's just a noticing. It's just building in small space before automatic movement, even if it's brief. That space existing there can simply begin to be enough. There will be moments where none of this lands. The pressure will be there and it will feel heavy. and everything will feel like it requires our immediate response. The body will already be moving into action before we even notice, wait a minute, I'm in action. This is not failure. It simply means our nervous system has learned to organize quickly. We don't need to judge it. We just need to honor that it was there to protect us when we were in the survival spiral. In these moments, we don't need to add anything. We don't need to try harder. We don't need to get it right. Sometimes the most supportive thing we can do in the moment is just to allow the moment to move without us interrupting it, without us adding on a layer on top of layer on top of layer of what it is we should do with it. The noticing counts, even if that noticing is after our system already started moving. If our system begins moving and we notice, hey, wait a minute, I'm moving before I've sat with it, that awareness counts, even if it's after the fact. There's no point where this becomes something we need to succeed at. We're simply learning how to stay here with a moment as something comes into view. And we might notice what happens next. Does it begin to feel like it's asking something from us? Does the body start to move toward it? Or is there a moment where nothing happens right away? There's no right answer. Just the practice of creating just enough space to notice what our system wants to do before our system actually does it. And in moments like this, at any point, if it feels heavy, if it feels overwhelming, we can just stop. We're allowed to say enough for today. Learning how to sit with something can be something that we need to learn. When we have lived our life rushing through things, slowing down can feel hard. Nothing needs to be finished. Nothing needs to be carried forward. Everything can be left here, exactly as it is, with the knowing that our nervous system is already responding. It responds in the ways it has learned. And if support can exist inside of that, then support can exist even in small moments. This is our nervous system doing the groundwork.